player, possibly the best of his generation, but hardly an impressive coaching CV. Unable to stay in a post for any length of time, maybe a one-off game is ideal for him, but 14 years since his last gig. And Carsten said, coaching a rep side is mostly about motivating, and the Pearls should be very good at this. I see the next defeat for England now. What do you make of Ellery Hanley? He's been around the sport for the last few years, chairing the Man of Steel panel, but hands-on in the game again.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't realised it had been 14 years. That's surprising. But yeah, how in touch is he with coaching? You know, if it is purely about the motivation, then yeah, fair enough. It doesn't really matter. But if he's going to need to do a lot of coaching side of it, and then is he a bit past it and a bit out of touch? I guess it would be my question. I
mean, he's named Andrew Henderson, hasn't he, as his assistant? So you'd think Andrew Henderson might pick up some of the nuts and bolts stuff of the training on the field. But he'll only have a team together for like 3 or 4 days, and then Saints will pull out all of their players anyway. So, you know, it will just be about the motivation, I think.
Yeah, so maybe.
Yeah.
For another nothing match.
I don't know that this will be Hanley saying, this is me trying to stake a claim for a more bigger coaching gig. I think it's probably more the RFL saying, can we attach your name to this to give it a bit more presence?
Maybe.
Callum Percy got in touch about the Women's Challenge Cup, and when Callum messaged us about this, Sarah, I had no idea about this news, but I have read a few bits and pieces since it's been in the paper on Monday and that sort of stuff. On the Women's Challenge Cup, he said, shout out to my local club Dewsbury Moor Ladies, in brackets Maroons Ladies, team for getting an invite to the Challenge Cup. They will be up against York City Knights, Wigan Warriors and Bradford Bulls.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's a good chance for them. They were one of the sort of star performers of the lower levels last year. I think they won some sort of cup. I can't remember what they called it. I can't remember what they called it. But below the sort of Super League and Championship tiers, they were involved in a cup that they won. It's Widnes that have pulled out. They've said that they've pulled out to focus on preparing for the Championship season. That feels a bit worrying, doesn't it, when they're pulling out a week or so before the Challenge Cup and the Championship season starts in a few weeks' time. Yeah, I don't have any insight on that, Sarah, but it is a bit worrying.
Yeah, and it's sort of in contrast to a lot of what's going on in the women's game, where clubs seem to be really developing and thriving well, don't they, at the moment?
It's possible that the increase in the amount of clubs hasn't been matched necessarily by the influx of players yet, possibly. So that's
Maybe.
Why they want a bit more time. And I know some of the kind of Championship clubs have been losing some players to some of the bottom end Super League clubs and stuff. It's going to be interesting to see how it sets out on that. I mean, we know we've got one of our regular listeners, Paul O'Brien. His daughter plays now in the kind of Widnes leagues, as it were. So, you know, she'll be hoping that they sort the situation out. So in 3 or 4 years' time, she can go, well, how old's Grace? Anyway, a few years' time, she'll be able to pull on that black and white jersey. Also in women's news, actually, Sarah, something I spotted today, Barrow versus St Helens, that's going to be shown on BBC Sport Online on Saturday, 2 p.m. kickoff. That's in that first round of Challenge Cup games, where Dewsbury Moor will be playing York in their first fixture. Also, it's been confirmed that England will play France as part of a double header when England face the Combies in June.
Great. Yeah, no. Yeah, I'd seen the thing about the Barrow match. That's really good to see.
I mean, we expect St Helens to walk it, but Barrow are coached by Amanda Wilkinson, who was Wigan coach when they won the grand final back in 2018. So, you know, and I think she's got a couple of former Wigan players up there in Barrow with her. So she's a well-connected and very talented coach. So, yeah, hopefully there can be an upset on the cards there in the opening round of the Cup. That would be good for everyone to see. Mm-hmm. We've had EFC 78JU get in touch as well, Sarah.
Yeah, so he got in touch on a story about Manu Vatavai, not a great story, but that Former New Zealand and Salford Red Devils player Manu Vatuvei has been sentenced to 3 years and 7 months in prison for importing methamphetamine. The 36-year-old pleaded guilty in the Manukau District Court in Auckland last year to a single representative charge of importing a Class A drug.
Yeah, not a good story at all. How people can fall from grace, it's a warning, isn't it, that? For players coming to the end of the career, because he had a stellar NRL career and then a brief stint with Salford, but that's it's all gone up in flames now for the Volcano. No, he wasn't the Volcano, was he? That was Vinacola.
Vinacola.
What did they call Vatuvei? I can't remember. Doesn't matter.
Vatuvei?
I don't know. They'll be calling him Prison Bitch now, won't they? I suppose.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on from someone who doesn't deserve any more time and tell all you lot who do deserve our time how to get in touch and get involved. So on social media, it's at Super League Pod on Twitter and Instagram, or facebook.com/Super League Pod. You can email superleaguepod@gmail.com or visit superleaguepod.com to get all the info on each episode, links to the Google forms to send in your fan views that we'll share and discuss on the show. And don't forget to subscribe, obviously, in whatever podcast app you're listening to us on. Leave a rating and review if you can, so you don't miss any of our shows in it, and more people get to find out about SLP. That's the longest amount of feedback we've had so far this year, so that's really promising. We're now going to move on to talk about the RFL and Super League realignment proposals.
So with the RFL and Super League realignment, the Rugby Football League and Super League will recommend clubs vote to realign the two bodies at a meeting later in March. They separated in 2018 with the aim of increasing the value of Super League coverage to broadcasters.
The new proposal aims to reshape the sport's commercial and governance model to maximise future opportunities, in inverted commas. It involves the formation of a new joint venture company to work closely with, but separately from, the governing body function of the RFL, with the latter remaining responsible for the community game and for elite performance through the England team pathway, continuing to work closely with Sport England.
Yeah, so the recommended structure of the new company would involve the appointment of a 5-strong board with 2 directors appointed by the RFL, 2 by Super League Europe, and a jointly appointed chair. 1 second, sorry, my paper closed. All 5 to be independent from club ties. The composition of the RFL board is also expected to change, consistent with the changes in function of the RFL. Constitutionally, the RFL board could determine these changes for the RFL, but the board have chosen to seek a direct mandate from the members at a special general meeting on March the 22nd, given the significance of this matter to the whole sport and a desire for the sport to move forward confidently and collectively.
In the joint statement, if all of the other press releases didn't already read like one, but the joint statement from Ken Davey and Simon Johnson explained, the new company will allow the value of rugby league to be maximised by aggregating all commercial events and media rights for negotiations with potential commercial partners, and in turn maximising distributable profits and therefore returns to clubs and the wider game. Each of the RFL, Super League Europe and the new company will therefore be able to concentrate on what they do best for the overall good of rugby league at every level. With an embedded split of the profits between leagues and the RFL, it also provides long-term financial clarity for member clubs. It enshrines a financial model which means all members have a shared destiny, with all participating in the growth of revenues in the sport, irrespective of which asset delivers that growth.
Sort of linked to this, the RFL are looking at New York-based global sports and event management company IMG as a strategic partner. According to PA, they hope to take them on board as part of the realignment of the Super League. IMG was taken over in 2013 by Endeavour, who owns UFC. They represent and manage some of the world's greatest sports figures and fashion icons. Also, they stage hundreds of live events and branded entertainment experiences annually.
Yeah, they have fingers in lots of pies and deals with lots of major sporting organisations. So I suppose it would be a good partner from that point of view. We did a poll The poll asked, what impact do you think the upcoming RFL and Super League realignment will have on the game in the UK? And we asked if people thought it would have a positive impact, a negative impact, or no meaningful impact. And in rugby league terms, Sarah, I think the results we got were quite positive.
Yeah.
Only 8% thought this would have a negative impact, so thought it would make things worse. 35% thought it would have a positive impact, although 57% thought it would have no meaningful impact. I think when we get into some of the fan views, that might explain where that landed. What would you have voted in that, Sarah?
Well, I did vote, and I was actually one of the 8% that thought it'd be negative.
Okay.
Just because this is rugby league, we just do all we possibly can to screw everything up. I'd really love to see it having a positive impact. And, you read the statement and it does have such a great amount of potential. And you think, yeah, this is it. Rugby league's going to take over the world, or at least, be united.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel like time and time again, we create new bodies. We create new, what's the word I'm looking for? Initiatives that just cause more division and more problems. So I'd love it to be positive, but realistically, I think the most I hope for is no meaningful impact.
So you suspect that it might actually cause some of the fractures that are already there between the different tiers of the game to kind of widen, maybe?
Yeah, I have that fear.
Yeah, I went with positive impact in my vote, and I definitely think that it could go the other way, and what you said makes total sense in the lived experience we have. The one thing I like about this is, and the key message for me, is talking about all people that will be appointed to the board will be independent from club ties. So even though 40% of the board will be representing the Super League clubs, they won't be able to. The clubs won't be able to have the final say on things. Now, the one worry is we haven't got enough meat on the bones yet to see what executive power this group will have over things beyond, the running of Magic Weekend, the running of the TV revenue, of the TV broadcast deals, and that sort of aspect of maybe bringing in a private equity partner or someone like IMG who has a private equity arm within it, or that sort of thing. So we don't know who gets to actually pull the trigger on that and that sort of stuff. But you would have to assume that this board, if approved, will have more executive power. And the one thing that let down the Super League breakaway for me is the clubs appointed someone to run things for them and then gave them no executive power to actually deliver on anything. So it kind of became a bit like it stalled everything, really. And maybe some of the choices might have been bad, not the right choices. I might not have agreed with all the choices. But if you're going to come up with something and appoint someone, let them have that executive power. And this board will have that executive power, I hope. And it will do it to a degree independently from individual clubs having too much influence, input and say, and also veto rights on stuff. So self-interest, you would hope, would be reduced, and the language they've used as well, which is about it being a shared destiny. If this entity makes more money, then those profits will be shared proportionately down the chain. So people will know that if they buy into it, if they put into it, then they'll get more out of it as well. So everyone, you would hope, would be pulling in the same direction. So because of those two aspects of it, I have hope that it's going to be positive, and I guess it's the hope that kills you, as we say every week. But I'm living in that hope, Sarah.
Yeah, I guess one of my questions is, okay, they're going to appoint independent people, but where are they going to find these independent people?
Well, it probably, to an extent, will be people that come from within the game already, certainly within the RFL side of it. That's the way it looks like they've explained it will happen. But I know what you mean. There will be people who've had club ties in the past who will be in those positions. So it will still have those there still will be those seeds of discontent, especially more amongst probably fan bases. But surely the Super League clubs would have to agree on the representative